Welcome back to Keith Kevin's Repair and Restoration. Got the 2010 Dodge Ram back, and so far over the years of ownership, this thing has done pretty well. We've had a couple little issues, cooling system, you just seen the video for that. Had to do a fuel pump, those do wear out. Intake gaskets on these, I don't know if I'd call them quite a common issue, but they do wear out. You get to 150, 160,000 miles, you'll start seeing leaks right around the oil fill, because the oil fill and PCV system kind of intertwined, but you'll see some oil start to build up on the bottom part of the intake. And the other issue that we're having and why it's here today is we got some pretty high trim numbers and crappy fuel economy and a little bit of stumble between 3,000 to 4,000 RPMs. I'll run some footage now of what it's doing. But and came in, Kevin was telling me that, because this is his truck, he was telling me I was having a power issue. And so if you lean into it, you got plenty of power, but at certain parts of the RPM kind of does this weird stumble and then takes off. Now it's kind of always done that, and the reason for that's twofold. You got a variable valve timing system in here on the timing chain, and then you've got an intake manifold runner control in the back. You got a flappy valve that directs air between short and long runners for high RPM or low bottom end torque. Now, to me, when we're running tests, it seems like the VVT is responding. I don't have any codes, no codes. I don't even have lean codes, but you start getting up to like 15 on trim, that means you're adding 15% more. The bottom on these is 33%, and then you get the code. Now, he's already blown out one exhaust manifold gasket. He said he heard it ping, so we know we got a lean condition going on. So we got most likely we got weak O-rings on the fuel injectors where air can get sucked in. Probably got weak intake manifold gaskets, air's getting sucked in. And there's a point, yeah, the computer can compensate and correct, but you're still going to get weird loading going on until that computer corrects. So we're going to take this intake off, we're going to do the intake gaskets, we're going to check the intake manifold runner control system, the mechanical side of it, little valve inside the intake that goes like this. Make sure that's not hanging up. We're going to clean the intake. Other than that, I'm going to run through this teardown pretty fast. People tell me my videos are just too long, so I'm just going to set the camera and pretty much time lapse it, and then the parts that are important for teardown, I'm going to just take a break, show you that, just get back on with it. You do need one specialty tool. You will need a tool for getting the fuel line off. It's one of those quick connects, and you got to put the little button in it, pop it, and that's pretty much that for this. Undo the battery, so that's where we're going to start first. You do want to blow the intake areas out, so when you pop this up and when it comes out, you don't get a bunch of dirt and crap in the engine. So I'm going to blow it out off camera. Other than that, it's going to be a pretty fast teardown. It's not too bad to do. If this is your first time doing it, be sure to take about 2 days to do it. Get all your parts ahead of time. So I'll show you a list of parts now of what we're putting in this. Other than that, have all your stuff ready to go, and other than that, it's a pretty straightforward job, but let's get at it. Okay, battery off. Normally I try to keep the battery connected so I can see the trim numbers change, but unfortunately on this, because the alternator does have to come out of the way, you do have to disconnect the battery because you don't want no whammies. While we're tearing this apart, we're going to look to see, make sure the throttle body's clean. Because sometimes if that's running up slow or hanging up, you can get a weird idle condition or weird throttle responses. There's a bunch of safety clips. Looks like someone's already broke for us, so that's cool. This line set does have to kind of move and jostle out of the way. Yeah, you do want to be real careful popping clips because they will break, especially the older they get. Yeah, let's get this air box out of the way. Do that, we'll take the fresh air breather off. And then we'll unbolt it from here, and then we'll just take it out as a complete assembly, get that out of our way. Like I said, we're going to be running through this pretty fast. Now this is not a mass airflow engine, so any leak between here and that isn't really going to matter besides the fact of getting dirt in it. The filter's clean, so we're not getting a rich condition, we're getting a lean condition. Our auto body looks clean, so that's not it. Now the odd thing is I'm getting kind of an odd smell. Oh yeah, definitely got a lot of fuel through her. That's the thing with these new cars, they like to compensate. Gotta keep that emissions happy. Okay, I'll pop that off there. Man, this is a new hose too. Gotta be careful because there's so much plastic used here. Let's see, that'll probably come off with the intake. We will replace this O-ring here. I'm not going to take this off. I'm going to take this off when I got it on the bench. Just so I don't have to worry about getting crap down the hole. This hose, however, does not want to come off none too easy. Okay, brake booster hose is off. Put that off the side. And this one is going to be for evap. Okay, no whammies, no broken parts. Okay, so the PCV here, you can leave that hose intact for now. We take this thing apart for cleaning. We will take that off. Yeah, let me get a close-up and show you what happens when the intake gaskets start to leak. Okay, see where it looks wet right there? You'll start seeing that all through the entire gasket set. And especially here where the oil fill is. I'm sure once we get this down there you can actually see it. We'll see a lot more, but it's definitely wet. Looks like we got a little bit of oil on the fresh air side. So this is generally suction, not pressure, not vacuum, or whatever the PCV valve is commanding. But that isn't enough to cause all that down the road there. But all that'll be wet. Okay, let's continue on. Let's check the air filter. Looks like he just replaced it. It's pretty meticulous on his maintenance. Oh yeah, that looks good. Okay, no need to worry there. We'll pop off the fuel injector connectors. Yeah, you can hear those O-rings are crunchy. Alright, if you've never done this before, you can number them, but the way I usually do it with the Hemi harnesses, the cylinder that's on the coil pack, the wire will run right over, so you'll know it's 1357 and 2468. Climb in and have lunch, they say. Oh man, am I not a fan of Dodge's safety clips? Every time I touch one, I feel like I'm going to break it. Yeah, for a modern V8, the Hemi is pretty straightforward. Shows a lot in common with the LS though. Find that kind of funny. As far as, you know, lifters go bad, you're having to pull the cylinder heads to work on it. Not like the old days. 350, you can do a set of lifters in the afternoon, but with this, there's so much to tear apart. Alright, here's your PCV valve. It is on a lock system. We're going to change that too, because if that isn't working right, you can also have a lean condition because it will suck in more air than it needs. Alright, do the same thing on driver's side. Yeah, these fuel injectors don't feel as crunchy. But on this one, if you hear it, yeah, it's possible you have ripped O-rings. I don't normally do the O-rings. I like the factory O-rings on injectors, but when I'm chasing a lean condition like this, it's like, yeah, I guess we'll do it. Alright, fuel rail. We'll leave the fuel rail intact. We will pop the fuel line here. You will spill some fuel, so I'll put some rags there. Not too worried about it. There is one sensor in the back like I was talking about, the IMCR, intake manifold runner controller, or manifold tuning valve. I don't know, whichever computer you're looking at. I might have to bring this forward to unplug it or get at it. Not sure yet. Alright, I was taking a look. I believe the alternator can stay. The bolt that would be a concern why people remove it to get to that one, but I don't think it has anything to do with that, because that's on its own bracket. So, you do have to remove that bolt there so you can move that bracket. So if you take this apart, you can move this side. You're going to have to anyway because it bolts to the intake. This is a 13. Wouldn't try trying to go from top down with the extension. You got a wiring harness here, and we're trying to be careful with the wiring harness because we know with Dodges, wiring harnesses not the strongest. I was kind of hoping that might move a little bit more. We still might have to pull that bracket there. We'll see. I mean, these are hard pipes. They don't move too well. No matter what, that bolt still has to get disconnected, but oh man, I'm just afraid of snapping that. Get under it like that. Hopefully it'll pop off and it'll let me move a little bit so I can get that bracket out. So let's work on that next. Alright, try and get that bracket out of the way because I don't want to have it in my way. I don't want to have it in my way going out or going back in. So push back on this. And off camera I did take a screwdriver and slightly put it in like so. Pop it back. Pop your line set out. Okay. And we do have a little bit of movement. And I gotta figure out what else is holding that in. And bolt by the water pump. Okay, not bad. There we go. Yeah, we'll just drop that down. And for lollykicks and giggles, we'll just put this bolt back on here so I don't lose it. In some videos I watch people take the alternator out, but I don't see a reason why. There's nothing in my way. I can get to all the retaining bolts for the intake, all 8 of them. Okay, the only thing left to do is get to the map, undo the fuel line to the rail. I do not see a test port. Now, Gen 3 Hemis had a test port, but they did away with it. Now, I remember when we tested fuel pressure on this one time, we had to put an adapter in place there. And they do that because Schrader valves in the test ports do have a tendency to leak, albeit rare. I've seen it once in 25 years of working on cars. So the potential's there. So if you let this thing sit for a minute, you know, the fuel pump should drain back. Now this is a newer fuel pump, so we'll test that theory. I'm going to do that last though, before I start popping bolts, because I just don't like the smell of fuel. So next we'll do the map. And then I got to figure out IMCR in the back. So I'm going to grab the other camera, show you where the map sensor is. Alright, back there's your map sensor. And then beyond the yonder, where you can't really see too well, is the IMCR, or MTV, manifold tuning valve. So, can't get my hand back there, so it's one of those things where I might pop the intake, bring it forward just a little bit, get to it, pop it then, because it's a lot easier to put that back on when you're putting it back than it is trying to take it off with it installed, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to undo that off camera. At this point we are ready to pull the fuel line. You will need a set of these, and I'll get another camera and show you close up how this works. Okay, right there in the center is the fuel line. There's a safety clip you pop up. So pop it off, pop it forward, that's your safety lock. Get a rag down because you always spill fuel, and there might be a little bit of pressure. And you could do the, turn the key and let the injectors pop off, but just do it this way. Push down, push in. I might have to do this with two hands. One, you gotta hold the tool. As you see, you get it pushed in, pop forward. Like I said, the one specialty tool you probably need. At this point I fussed with that fuel line with the plastic pop clips and it just wouldn't work. I eventually had to go find my other tool, which looks like this. So if you're going to do this job, make sure you get that tool. It's not too expensive. It's about 10-12 bucks at our local O'Reilly's. Alright, let's continue on. Alright, this tool should do the trick. 16, so I'm going to try the 5/16 first. There we go. Okay. Got to push in and pop the lock and then it will come out. Definitely wasn't pretty. Could have went a little smoother on that. But we got it. Let that drip out for a bit and then we'll get back at it. Alright, at this point we are ready to start popping intake bolts. There's absolutely no way to get to that IMCR valve in the back. It's just not going to happen. My hands are too big. So once I get this off, I got to pull it forward, get back behind it, and basically disconnect it and then bring the rest of this out. I mean, there's just no other way. I can't. My hands aren't having it. I can barely get my hands back there to even feel it. Alright, 8mm bolts. There's a ton of them. I don't recommend using an impact for this. I have impacts, but you can't tell what the bolts are doing, and an impact has so much power it will snap bolts. Okay, so drivers. First one on driver's side is kind of loose. I mean, the torque on these is not very much. We're also going to pull the fuel rail with it. We're not going to disconnect it because it comes with the intake manifold. And I'm going to undo this, the reverse of the tightening sequence. So I'm going to go from outward in. And these are captured, which means they're not going to come out. There, let's climb in and have lunch. This is one of those where you just can't see them all. You have to kind of find them. Alright, let's find the one in the back. And if you feel one get tight on you, take it back in. That one's pretty tight in the back. So we're going to just run it in and out. Never really been a fan of the cab forward design. I mean, try to do a tune-up on a 5.2, 5.9 Magnum and a Ram, and tell you what, you start really questioning your life decisions. Let's find the next one. Yeah, I think this is the worst one to get to, this one back here. Ooh. That one's really tight. Yeah, I'm not sure why that one was really tight. Thought that one was going to snap. Now let's run around with your hand and see if they're loose. Last thing you want to do is start pulling on this thing and not be loose. Like, it should go up all the way like that. Ooh, that one came out. That's not good. That one didn't. That one's loose. That one's loose. Nope, that one came out. That's not good. I told him he should do is a 6.1 upgrade. Throw a 6.1 intake on it. Alright, besides the IMCR is the only thing I'm not going to be able to show you. Alright, there's one hidden bolt right on the other side of that PCV valve. Now, once you get them all out, you should do this. Now I've got to bring it forward enough to get to that back valve I keep talking about. And once I get it out, I'll show you how it works. Now, of course, there's a freaking safety lock on it. Seriously. How the hell am I going to get that? Yeah, it's starting to look like he's got some leaky injectors. The intake ports are really wet. Huh. I'll show you that once I get this thing out. Yeah, that back plug is a freaking nightmare. The only way I can show you is once I get it out, what I'm fighting back here. You can get your hand on it, you can feel it, feel the connector. There. Just pops right off. Giving birth to a big intake. That's good. Okay, the question is, what am I getting hung up on? Should force nothing. Nothing needs to be forced. Looks like I might have a piece of wire or something actually connected to the back of that intake. Yep. And that's putting a lot of strain. And it's a push-pop connector. Okay, now that you come out. Don't force anything, whatever you do. This is not a forced job. This is a very technical repair. This is the difference between technician and mechanic. Alright, here we go. For being plastic, this sucker's heavy. This thing's probably weighing 50-60 pounds. Alright, let me show you what I was fighting. So back there, that's the plug for the IMCR. And look how wet those intakes are. That is a lot of fuel. I mean, it is just soaked. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but that is all wet. And usually when you see on Chrysler products, the intake gaskets are getting ready to go, they start getting wet. That's where your oil leak comes from, like you can see right there. Alright, let's look at the back side of this intake and see if our gaskets have flattened out. Wow, pinched. 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 Not pinched. Wow. I wonder what would cause that. Well, so that runner assembly I'm talking about right back here, take this off, and then there's a flapper valve in here. And yes, she's pissing. That was about $5 worth of fuel right there. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's causing this. I mean, yeah, bad design, I get it, but looks like there might have been a holder here. And this intake might have been off before. I mean, Felpros are blue, so these are white, so these must be the original Chryslers. Or it's been done before and it changes color because of oil intrusion. But either way, this thing's fixing to go. No misfires, just equal fuel trims across the board. Alright, I'm going to take a break. I'm wrestling that thing. It's heavy. It's got a lot of parts on it. I mean, yeah, I can draw the body off, and I don't think it's going to matter too much. I mean, I think probably weighs a pound. It's just heavy. It's got a lot of working parts in it. Alright.